Hello and welcome to Ryan's recap for Wednesday, the 29th of November. I'm your host, Ryan, as you may have guessed. And today, we're going to be talking through all the haps about ANZ Pro League. Get in your questions on Twitter just before the show starts. Just at me, at Ryan Ed Jones. You can see my Twitter down below. Please ask any questions and we'll address it. So let's jump straight in and we'll talk about yesterday's matches. So first up on Neon Violet Square was Ice versus Demi. So Ice replacing Vodge, who I believe was his internet was unstable. I think as I was speaking to him about that, wasn't able to play, which is unfortunate. But we did have Downfall's captain, Big Boy Ice, the ace. Ice undefeated, hashtag Ice undefeated, coming in to fight up against Demi. And let's sort of just talk through this game a little bit. So Demi, pretty standard opening. He went for OV speed and a Ling drop. And on Ice's hand, on the other hand, was going for a quick Twilight, and he was looking for charge and Robo. It seemed like he was going to go for a big, like, two-base gateway all-in, where he hit his Robo in the back base on Neon Violet, and excuse me, and was going to hit a big timing, which makes sense. Obviously Ice probably the underdog in the match. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a shield battery in his main, and this Ling drop gets in and does an absurd amount of damage. And from this point, he tries to follow up with his attack. He brings an Immortal. Not sure if that's part of the plan or if it was just because it was delayed and he did get an Immortal. But at this point, I mean, Demi's had more time to build up an economy, and he just kind of overruns the attack. Later on, like he has like a desperation, like he builds some shield batteries out the front of Demi's base, but it's really, at this point, the game is basically over. So Demi does pick up that game. And that game, I mean, you'd say it mostly went like according to what you'd expect, but I think Ice did show some potential. Like, obviously, like he just needs a shield battery in his main. Like, I guess he just overlooked the potential of Ling drop, and I actually think his build could have been very effective. But it's in the past now, I guess. So I would like to see Ice played more. Obviously, not in the starting roster this time around. If he can bring like good builds, I mean, obviously, perhaps not on paper your strongest player, but I don't hate having him play, especially in this quote-unquote, Protoss favored meta we have right now. So let's move on. Lunith versus Vivid, battle on the boardwalk. So this is the second match. And Lunith, obviously a Protoss player for Downfall, and Vivid was our Zerg opponent. This was an interesting, obviously battle on the boardwalk is going to have some very strange games, I would say. Not 100% the greatest macro standard map in the pool. So, true to form, we saw some shenanigans in this game. Lunith Nexus first to the gold. I like it. What can I say? I'm a fan. I like the guts. I just like everything about it. I think it's a great decision. It plays to the map. Probably plays to the player. A lot of good things there. And with it, he does go for a quick probe scout. It's not just a blind Nexus first. He sends his probe out. It's a short map. Probe gets there. He can just quickly drop a gateway if he sees, some sort of early pull. So Vivid has essentially the same opening as Demi, Overlord speed, and an Evo chamber for Ling drop. He takes the gold as his third base, which is potentially coming back to bite him, because sort of as the game progresses, he goes for the Ling drop at the gold. It's deflected quite well by Lunith, who's going for Twilight, and he's going for Robo and a Dark Shrine. So it kind of seems like it's just an Archon drop build. But with the gold base, it seems like he gets really far ahead. Like, he has a lot more probes than Vivid has drones, which I kind of wasn't necessarily expecting. Behind, actually interesting, Lunith goes for charge, which I thought was a bit curious. Earlier than you would necessarily expect from an Archon drop opening. I'm not sure if that's something he'd I don't know, like is that because there's a gold base? I don't know. I mean, I can't speak to that at all, but you know, he's getting the expansion, gets a warp prism as well, obviously, and he's going for his DT drop. Execution could have been way better on this for Luneth. He warps in DTs, doesn't morph them for a while, morphs the Archons for like maybe like 15 seconds later. Oh, maybe 15 seconds is an exaggerate, but it felt like a long time. And then the Archons just sit there, and then they finally get in the warp prism. Meanwhile, Vivid has just been going Lair and Roach Warren, which I don't know if it was a planned build, or if it was in reaction to the Archon drop that he scouted with Overlord speed. But he's going for this nutty plan where he's dropping Lings, I believe, the first time around. Spoilers, at the gold. 4 Roaches in the main, while attacking with Roach Ravager at the front. So while this is going on, Luneth is dropping his Archons at Vivid's gold base. So there's 4 fights ongoing. Luneth defends all of his bases very well, cleanly. And on the other hand, Vivid is taking some damage. He does push it back, but he takes some hits, and he's actually down in drones, and also like he's not looking so great in supply either. And then he sort of goes for a round 2, and we had literally, it's like deja vu. The same thing happens. There's a Roach drop, I think actually at both bases this time. I don't think it's Lings at the gold base, but again, it's deflected very well. And this time, I'm pretty sure like the gold base, if it's not killed, it loses like so many drones to Luneth's drop, and then you just have the big follow-up push from Luneth takes the game. This was actually a really good game from Luneth. It seemed well planned, well thought out. Execution is not so great, I would say. Vivid, on the other hand, it seemed like Vivid, I was trying to figure out why he ended up so down in the drone count. I think it might have just been the fact that he allowed this Nexus first to the gold and didn't take the gold as his base first. You know, his Ling drop was not very effective at all. It just seems Nexus first to the gold is going to be so strong, especially if your opponent is not quickly investing into a gold of their own. And also, he did go very aggressive, which I can appreciate. And I liked his execution, at least for the multi-prong. But, I mean, Luneth played it great from that perspective. So, I mean, looking quite good, I would say, Luneth. Both players, actually, I think, looked pretty good in the series. It was actually a pretty interesting battle on the board. I would like to see Vivid having a chance on a better map. And Luneth, just great play. So, Catalyst, we had Aigis versus Blisk. So this one's pretty interesting because Aigis is playing Zerg. So this is, I guess, the first time these two have played with the PvZ matchup. And this game was bizarre. Blisk has like the perfect early game. So he goes to Archon drop. Aigis is just playing really normal. Very normal ZVP stuff. And Blisk's adepts do a lot. They kill like more drones than should be allowed to be killed. And then his DT drop does even more. And at this point, Aigis is like 15 to 20 workers down at like 50 supply. And Blisk has like that much more like it's looking so bad for Aigis. And Blisk kind of follows it up. He's just kind of taking a third. He's macroing up. He's going for a Colossus. And Aigis is just trying to drone, trying to stay alive. And I'm watching this game thinking, Blisk loses this, you know? I wasn't able to catch this game live, so I was watching this back, you know? And this game, I don't understand. Like, Aigis, so he drones up, he gets like 66 drones. I mean, Blisk has been at 66 probes, you know what I mean? Like, he has been there. And for some reason, it's not enough. I mean, he has some Colossus. He's got like a decent sized army. He's not like he's floating a lot of money. He's got a good supply count. But Aigis attacks him with this Hydra Lurker army, and he does deflect it, like does force it away. But the fact that he was able to get on the third and do as much damage as he was, Aigis, was bizarre. Like I couldn't understand. Like, why was Blisk in, like, how could he possibly lose this game? It's not like Aigis found some miraculous, you know, lurker hit or something like this. It was just like he just made all the drones back really late, didn't really have that big of a standing army, and then just went with lurkers, you know? And how, I don't know. Blisk must have misexecuted. This is the only explanation. Like, he must have either the only explanations is Blisk was not playing it correctly in terms of like mechanically he misexecuted, or this Colossus play that he went for was just not good against lurkers, because Aigis just ran him around from this point, and he had no right to. Like, if this was a equal setup, then okay, you know, maybe you get moved around. But when you're this far ahead as Blisk, I mean, it's just unacceptable. Like, you can't be pulled around by a Zerg player who was down like 20 drones in 5 minutes. Like, I was very disappointed in Blisk's play. I mean, but the thing is, it's like I couldn't even see really what he was doing wrong. So, I mean, it's a new patch, so maybe strategically, like, he wasn't prepared for this really heavy lurker play. But I mean, like, it's just no excuse. It's literally no excuse. You can't lose these games. If Downfall wants to do well in this league, I mean, they're up 2-0. Blisk, I mean, he has to step it up. It's just that, like, this is just unacceptable. I mean, Aigis wins the game, but I was very, very disappointed in how Blisk played. And obviously, Aigis trash early game, but up and past that, he played really well. He had great multi-pronging. Well, not even so much multi-pronging. I mean, to a small degree, but like his movements were quite good, and his macro was fine. Early game defense needs work. Man, I'm so. I watched this game, and I just can't see how Blisk lost, and I don't know what to say. Like, it wasn't, you know, there was no moment where it was like, oh, this is how Aigis gets back in, or man, Blisk made a huge mistake. It was just like, yeah, I guess Aigis is just better. Is that it? Like, Aigis is just a better player? I don't understand. But either way, honestly, I just think, like, I'm probably sounding harsh, but Blisk, man, like, you can't play like this and expect to do well as a team, because Aigis did play it like you play any other Zerg in this league, and I mean, Ice in the chat is saying that Blisk took the wrong fourth. I mean, he fucked up before that. He shouldn't. The fact that Aigis could get on the third with lurkers and had like a decent engagement, the fact that that occurred is already too much. Like, if this was an even game, then maybe I agree. That's strategic decisions that went wrong. But the fact that he had such an advantage and he wasn't able to even be dictating, he wasn't dictating. He was on the back foot. You can't be on the back foot after you kill 20 drones. You can't have that early game and then still lose. And it's not even, you know, it's not like you had a galactic mistake or he made an insane play. Anyway, let's move on. All right, I'm very passionate about this game, I guess. Anyway, Blackpink. We had Fury versus Pez. So this one, TVP. Obviously at this point, I guess now OSC's up 2-1. And this game, TVP, obviously not my expertise, but we had a Stargate opening from Pez, which I don't know how standard that is. I guess it's probably good, especially with this new change where you can chrono out the oracles really fast. But, you know, it's a pretty what seemed like normal. You know, I'm not an expert on this. It seemed like a normal early game. Fury got 2 Cyclones. I'm not sure if that was in reaction to anything. Again, it's hard for me to know these things, but essentially at some point, Pez has gone for a way more economic focused opening. His third is quicker. He has way more probes. And then Fury has this chance with his double Medivac drop, where he gets into the main and he's able to snipe the +1 on the Forge, and he trades quite well. But then he doesn't get out. He loses all in the Marines. And even despite that, I mean, he has better upgrades now, but Pez has this great economy. But they sort of keep playing. They play out the kind of the rest of the early game, and it's actually a really close game. Fury plays it really well, which expectations you'd probably say Pez is a clear favorite here. So I was watching this thinking, wow, man, Fury's playing this really solidly. And they sort of keep playing, but Pez is always in control, where eventually there's this point where there's this massive bio army with a lot of liberators, and he's kind of just trapped in his base, Fury is. And Pez has his Colossus army, and he's just sort of always pressuring, even if like he can't actually take a fight, but he's always able to expand behind with no pressure, always able to get, sort of everything working as how he wants. Whereas on the other hand, I mean, it just felt like Fury was scared basically for the whole game, and Pez was able to keep the pressure up to him. And eventually, I mean, Fury isn't able to secure a fourth for a very long time. And then at some point, both players are actually banking quite a lot of money, like they're both maxed out for quite a long time. And eventually, Fury kind of moves out, and all his bio gets really low, like from Stim and AoE. And then basically, Pez just runs over the bio with his, like it's not even like Fury has so much money. Like maybe he didn't have the right production, like he wasn't remaking it quickly enough. He didn't have enough medivacs. Maybe he just lost like his old like he took a bad engage on Pez's side of the map. It was like 180 supply, like 200, which is not the worst. Like, and he had a ton of money, like he could remake that. But then Pez just came back across Blackpink and just wiped the whole army. And like Fury, I think loses this game with like a huge amount of bank. So it was good things from Fury, but I'm excited about it. I mean, he played well against Hut in his previous series, and he's played well here against Pez, better than I would expect. It was like a nice long game, and Pez eventually outplays him in it, but I think he looked good. I'm excited to see what Fury can sort of accomplish here for OSC, but he does go down here for downfall, so it's 2-2, which means we're going to an ace match, baby. Ace match, baby. So, downfall sends out Blisk, and OSC sends out Demi. So, Blisk is the obvious choice, even despite the fact that he threw this game, but let's leave that one for now. Demi over Aegis. Demi played well enough against Ice. He looked fine. Aegis obviously had a trash early game against Blisk. Demi more experienced, probably on paper and probably in practice the stronger player, I would say. So I don't hate the choice, even if it potentially results wise you might be like, well, maybe we should have said Aegis. I think this was correct. I think OSC picked the right ace. Some people might disagree. Maybe that's something for the questions later. Twitter, please give me some questions. Anyway, so Blisk is going for kind of a relatively similar opening as to what he had previously in his game against Aegis, where he's going for except this time he's going for Robo then Twilight. So actually maybe it was looking for more the Ice style, like it might have been like a charge all in or something, or not necessarily all in, but charge. It wasn't an Archon drop. Demi on the hand played exactly the same. It was the same setup as well. Overspeed, Ling drop, all the same. But instead he just goes for all out, all in, Ling drop, tons of Lings, dropping all everywhere, trying to break Blisk, and Blisk defends it pretty well. Like it doesn't look that scary. It's defended pretty well, and yeah, I mean, after that point, Demi's all in. I mean, it's an all in. Like he didn't play like a macro Ling drop, he made so many Lings, and he did, fuck all damage basically. So he's just dead. Like Bliss just walked across the map like he took an expansion, got some immortals, Sorkers, he's like getting a Templar, like it's not even like he's all in. It's not, or he hit like a big timing. Like he's like just playing macro and he's like, well, I'm so far ahead this time. Thank God for that he didn't throw this one away. But you know, just like this is how you're supposed to win games, Blisk, okay? When the Zerg player gets behind, you just go and win. Like you don't just anyway. So Blisk wins the ace match, 3-2 for Downfall. So Downfall looking really, really good. So far they're 2-0 in series, which is, I mean, by all accounts, a huge upset. I personally predicted Downfall to take this series 3-2. There were some doubters, but you know, what can I say? Prediction God. You know, if you just slide me some money, I'll predict your team to win, and maybe you will. Anyway, so this Blisk, to be honest, I think he probably he looked better, but man, like I was higher on Blisk before this series. So I mean, he went 1-1. I'm so low on Blisk now, you know. So that's kind of unfortunate, I guess, for Downfall. They've had a great start though, so maybe they can keep going. Either way, let's move on. Let's talk about Legacy versus 1F Pro. Tomorrow's matchup. An insanely exciting series of games. And let's talk about these 4 matches. Okay, so we've got Pro versus Miyamika. This one's going to be really interesting because these guys have some history. Probe has lost some games. He's talked to me about it. He just lost some games that are very frustrating for him against Miyamika. And, you know, Miyamika, of course, forever a wild card. I'm just going to pull up their match history. I'm actually curious about this one. Let's have a look here. So it looks like, in terms of their tournament history, Probe has been very successful. He's lost once, which was the first time they played, but since then, he's dropped 1 game. I'm in tournament. I know in ladder, perhaps Mio performs better. Probe, to me, Probe is the best player in the region. Iger's obviously stepped down from his status as a potential best player in the region when he switched to Zerg. And Seether he doesn't quite have the same results. So Seether, of course, you know, the other name you'd look at. To me, it's kind of like Probe, then Seether, and then like, let's look at everyone else. But to me, like Probe, he's the best player in the league. So no matter who he's coming up against, it's hard to say Probe is losing. But at best of 1 on Neon Violet Square, one of the most frustrating maps, I would imagine, for Protoss players, with the, you know, hard to wall. I don't know. Maybe it's okay for Protoss, but it doesn't seem okay. Miyamika, who apparently just loves this map, he's just coming out on this map every time he plays. Maybe he's got something prepared. He's definitely pulling something out. So it's possible he could catch Probe off guard. But I mean, looking at this history, to me, give me Probe. Just give me Probe. I'm just a Probe fan, I guess. Probe's taking this one. Give me Probe. All right, let's move on. Battle on the Boardwalk. Azure versus Rise. Azure, fresh off his, you know, first time for Legacy, coming into their lineup here. Not able to make it, I imagine, I guess, for last week's matches. Obviously, probably the clear second best player here for Legacy. So he's coming up against Rise. Battle on the Boardwalk. Why would they play him on Battle on the Boardwalk? I would, if I was Legacy, I would be putting these players, maybe just Battle on the Boardwalk seems like such a wild card to me. I would take Azure, and I would have him on a map where it's like, this guy can't get upset. Whereas on Battle on the Boardwalk, maybe there's a chance to Rise here. I mean, we've had Protoss is looking good against Terran with the new Chrono. And I mean, Terran, I guess, gets Ghosts as their like compensation. They can rush Cloaked Ghosts really quick, which is nice. I think Azure should have this in terms of on paper. Doesn't mean it's impossible. Man, it's impossible. I find this map the hardest to predict because it's Battle on the Boardwalk, and I just haven't seen it enough to know, does this make sense? Like, who's winning on this map? Is this like a good Terran map, or is it a good Protoss map? What strategies are good? What can you abuse? Obviously, there's got to be some things you can abuse because it's like, it's Battle on the Boardwalk. Like, there's got to be some things. I'm gonna take Azure just because, you know, on paper the name, it's hard to bet against, but possibilities there. Same as the first game, there are possibilities for Mio, but it is hard to bet against Probe. Catalyst. Let's kind of move on. Pig Junior versus yours, TVZ. Yours looking, by all accounts, quite strong. He had a great performance in the Sea Open Team League, I believe it's called. Oh, I hope I got that one right. For 1F, obviously he basically all killed all of SYF in that league. So, I mean, SYF is considered a big favorite for the tournament. Yours, I mean, he won his matches. He beat Pez, I believe, in his match, like in the last time they played. I just think that he wasn't chosen for Ace. Mio was chosen, and Mio lost. So, you know, perhaps we could be seeing yours come out, who, of the 4 names for 1F, if we go to an Ace match, I may be getting ahead of myself. Let's talk about this. Yours is obviously a favorite here. Pig Jr. did beat Hut, does look pretty good in TVZ, but I think he's kind of got a bit of a all-in-ish streak, or like he looks to hit very powerful timings, and I don't think he's a mech player. He seems like a buyer player to me through and through. Maybe he's got some mech in him. I haven't seen it. I would say, I just think yours will be ready for whatever Pig Jr. has. Pig Jr., like his playstyle to me in TVZ, it kind of seems like those big 2-base pushes, like where it's sort of like the train of Bio. The Bio train leaves the station at a certain base count, whether it's 2 or 3 bases, and the Bio train just keeps going until either it reaches its destination at camp, you know, at the station, yours is dead, or or it comes off the rails and the Zerg player wins. So to me, Pig Jr. has a pretty one-dimensional style, and I think yours, the better player, should be prepared for that. I think yours, Catalyst, in my opinion, is the best new Zerg map in the pool. Yours is going to take it, guys. I don't know how to tell you this. Pig Jr. fans, he's not ready yet. Maybe his train will reach will reach the station, but who am I to say? Anyway, Blackpink, Runamog versus Wally. So that's 2-1 now for Legacy. Wally, of course, is the favorite here. Across since at least maybe 2013, he's probably been stronger than Runamog. I don't want to insult either player there, though. That's from my sort of feeling. Wally has just been more successful across the board. That being said, I believe they actually, let's see if I can pull this up. I believe they actually played a recent series. Yeah, very recently. In fact, both of their series this year, they've played twice this year, Wally and Runamok. Both times in the PSL, the Pro StarCraft League. August and then September. Is that one right after another? Did they play in the PSL round of 16 twice in a row? I guess they did. Both times it was 3-2. So this one, by all accounts, I mean, Wally did win, but Runamok won 2 games, and, you know, like, what is that? That's 6-4 in terms of maps. 60% win rate to win a best of 1. I don't know about this one. For our boy Wally, of course, you know, good friend of mine. This one could be interesting. Blackpink, it's a good map. Not necessarily the most Zerg favored, but it's not bad for Zerg by any means. Quite short, potentially good for Runner Mark. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, Bio is not that strong right now. Potentially, the mech gameplay could be coming out here for Runner Mark. To me, Wally is still the favorite here, though. I'm gonna back Wally. Wally, you're getting sent forward through. One of Pro will take this 2-2. So we'll go to an ace on Odyssey. The players they're gonna pick. Probe, obviously, for like it's gotta be Probe. Like Legacy, if they're not playing Probe as the ace, someone had like an aneurysm on their staff or something, or Probe is like he's having a seizure and they have to bring someone else. Like something is happening here for Probe not to be playing the ace match. Odyssey is not that bad for Protoss. I mean, it is good for Zerg. So, I mean, we're seeing one of Mio, yours, and Wally. I expect Wally won't come out. If Mio's lost to Probe in the previous match, I hope they don't send him out. Yours in the ace match, Probe wins 3-2. Legacy takes it. I mean, this match is going to be insane though. It could be 3-2. But I could have gotten the games that went each way incorrect because a lot of these matches could go either way. So in that sense, I'm actually really excited to watch all of these. I actually don't think any of these matches seem like a done deal. Probe versus Mio. I mean, lock that in. That's going to be fun at the very least. Azure vs Rise, perhaps probably the most lopsided on paper, but it's on Battle on the Boardwalk and Protoss is Imba, right, guys? So maybe he has a chance. And then, the two TVZs from the two sort of weak up and coming Terran players for Legacy. Yeah, so I don't know. This is going to be a great match. So that kind of finishes up the preview, the review of Legacy Esports vs One of Pro. Let's go to Q&A and answer some questions. So you guys just, go hard in the chat. Hit me with whatever you want. I'm going to go to Twitter and we can talk about what's going on. We are 2 weeks in, pretty much. How are you assessing the teams now? And do you still feel it's Legacy and SYF at the top? This is a question coming in from Downfall's Ice, team captain. And let's talk about it. So, 2 weeks in. Downfall, obviously, second in the league. I was corrected. They're not leading the league. I mean, they're like tied leading the league. So, overperforming, compared to expectations. SYF obviously doing great. Legacy have only played one match, I believe. This will be their second. Oh, God, I hope that's right. Pretty sure that's right. So, is Legacy, because SYF obviously is still clearly at the top. Is Legacy going to be at the top? They're only 0-1. So they could be at best 1-1, but this One of Pro series could potentially go either way. The way I see it is that Downfall versus 1F the first time is a bit of a, how do we say, I don't think it's repeatable. And this OSC, I mean, I'm down on, but I'm also down on Downfall after seeing Blisk's triggered. Anyway, I would say that, yeah, I'd say they're probably still at the top, but I mean, Downfall's doing really well. So, I mean, they've already won 2 out of, I guess they'll play 4 matches. I mean, they're not going to be bottom of the league, most likely. So, they maybe at worst, like third or fourth place, potentially, here for Downfall. I don't know. There could be a really crazy, like 2 or 3 way tie here for like a second. Yeah, so let's answer some questions here. Mighty Kiwi says, who is the most handsome player in the league? Well, without doubt, it is fan favorite player from Southeast Asia with his creative Zerg playstyle. Of course, it's Demilov, guys. How can you go past Demilov as the most handsome player in the league? Look at him. He's got the gameplay. He's just got everything. So, moving on. Beat to the Rye says, which player do you want to make out with the most? Well, I think we just covered it. Moving on. Seether says, how many downfall puns to be made this season? Jesus. This season. Downfall puns. I don't know. Whether those puns will be the downfall of the league is yet to be determined. Moving on. We're going to have hopefully some more questions coming in. Hopefully some more serious questions. A wizard never reveals his. That's wrong. It's a magician. Whatever. A wizard like myself. I can't let you know all my secrets. All right, Winter for fun. Which player do you want to make out with the second most? Oh my god. Okay, let's move on from these sorts of questions. Okay, we're not trying to completely derail the show. B to the Rise says, "How are you this season?" Pretty good, my friend. Pretty good. Ice, biggest surprise packet of the season from a player. Packet? Please clarify, Ice. Okay. Mighty Kiwi asks, which two players would you like to see match up in a league match the most? Okay. Who would I like to see match up the most that we haven't already seen? I mean, we could take someone we've already seen. I would like to see... let me think this one through. I want like a big names match. So in that sense, I'm looking at Probe, Seether. I mean, most of SYF, to be honest. Yours. And I kind of just want to see Blisk play more Zergs, to be honest. Because I want to see him redeem himself from this absolute horror show that we saw yesterday. Give me like Blisk versus, I guess he could play yours, right? That could happen. Blisk versus yours. Blisk versus Mighty Kiwi. Blisk versus... I can't think of it. Crimson? There you go. I got there. There's another SYF Zerg player. Blisk vs. Wally rematch. Yeah, sure. Blisk vs. Wally rematch. I didn't actually see Blisk vs. Wally. Unfortunately, that was broadcasted earlier. I wasn't able to catch that. I mean, maybe if Wally played better and Blisk shows the level of gameplay he showed versus Igers, then any Zerg here apparently could beat him. Oh, Probus says, what about T-Gun? I don't know about T-Gun versus Blisk. Oh, actually, you know what? That could be fun. I'm pumped up from T-Gun versus anyone. Give me T-Gun versus anyone, and that's a match. So, you know what? I changed it. The two players I want to see match up is T-Gun and like blank. Hopefully, T-Gun and someone who's not insane. Give me T-Gun versus like Luneth or something. That's a match I could get down for. All right. So, Ice, let's answer his question. The biggest surprise from a player standpoint. The biggest surprise... Luneth, right? Luneth is 2-0, right? Our boy Luneth popping off. I'd say that's the biggest surprise in terms of results, at least. Okay. How do you think the balance patch released today affects the rest of the season? I haven't actually seen all the changes. I know they nerfed the infest. Were there any other changes? I'm not sure. I imagine it just means that Zerg is not going to be a strong late game, but it seems like we're not going late game from any of our Zerg players, so I don't think it'll affect that much, to be honest. Which player in the league is the most underrated at the moment? Luneth? I mean, that's sort of the same question. Who else? Luneth, What are some other underrated players? Pez, maybe? He's been fine, I guess. I don't know if he's underrated. I think Lunith. Lunith has just performed really well, especially given his expectations. I'd say most everyone else is probably pretty correctly rated. Fury is doing quite well, but he hasn't won, so maybe he's underrated. I'd like to see him versus maybe a more achievable opponent than he's had so far. Okay. All right, who else have we got going on? What other questions? Cedar asks, what mistake will Crimson make this season that will become the new meme? Look, God only knows that if I tell you, it won't happen. So just know that it's already ordained. It will happen. I know. I just can't tell you guys yet. So, that one's in the works, okay? Crimson, stay on point, okay, buddy? Moving on. Of course, Ice Undefeated was unfortunately defeated yesterday, which ended his week-long undefeated streak, taking his record to an incredible 0% win rate. Oracle takes an extra shot. Oh, they changed the Oracle. Shield battery's more expensive. I don't think it'll change that much, to be honest, most of these changes. Which player do you want to make out with? The third most. I mean, if I haven't mentioned already, Seether for sure. All right, let's have a look here. Mighty Kiwi asks, what team is going to be bottom of the league at the end? OSC. I'm backing my shot right now. OSC will be at the bottom of the league. SYF won't be. Legacy won't be. Downfall, I don't think can be at this point. I mean, maybe if there's an insane series of events, but it doesn't seem possible. So it's going to be OSC or 1F, just looking at it from a sort of, I mean, that's an obvious choices. There are not really enough matches for them to bounce back necessarily. I mean, stay tuned for OSC versus 1F. I don't think for when we get to find out who's going to come last. Okay. Will there be exchanges of players? No, I don't think so. Law says, who do you think will have the best win rate by the end of the league? I'm going to assume he means players. In which case, you probably want to take someone who's winning, like who's going to win matches, but isn't going to ace, because win rate can be difficult. Like if you're the best player on your team and your team does lose, for example, like let's say you end up like you have more opportunities to lose basically if you're playing ace matches. But if you're like the second best player who is getting your team to ace matches, and then your ace who is theoretically better than you, but is like Probe in week 1 where he loses to Seether, who will have the best win rate? Legacy's already played SYF, so SYF has relatively straight. I think Seether, because Probe's lost to Seether already. Seether could run the table from here out against every other team. In my head, I don't think. Yeah, so I will say Seether as in terms of players, if that's what you mean. Beat to the right says, who can upset Probe? I mean, Mio can. Tomorrow he can. Mio 100% can. Yours could. Again, if they played in like an ace tomorrow. Seether lost to Demi. I've already forgotten, guys. Seether lost to Demi. I mean, basically, let's just call the show there. No, all right. Interesting. Okay, yeah. I mean, I guess it's going to be really hard to. I guess in that Probe, then I think realistically, if in that case Probe, is likely. But there's a lot of aces he could be playing. Crimson's toe already. I don't know. It's got to be someone. Maybe it's Crimson. Maybe it's Ben McDonald, Big Crimson, popping off with 100% win rate. Let's go. Hopefully that answers your question. All right, let's kind of move on here. Who can upset Probe? Mio, yep, we talked about that. All right, what other questions are there? Doesn't look like there's much else coming up. We've been kind of going for about how long I like the show to go for. So if there's no more questions coming in, we might wrap up here shortly. Any last questions for me in the chat? In terms of balance, just to sort of address our Twitter, you know, I don't even know what to call it. Certainly not worse than Blisk's games against Igers, but pretty bad nonetheless. Clearly, I think Protoss is not that strong. Protoss is strong, but they're not that strong. Like, I don't think there's going to be if Protoss players are winning, it's because their opponents are like not playing well enough. None of the matches so far have been like some absurd balance concern to me. Every match I've seen has 100% been not the product of some imbalance, with the exception of potentially maybe like some ZVTs will be more Zerg favored because Terran players aren't as familiar with mech, and mech is what you kind of have to play. That's not really balanced though. That's more of like a meta thing that is whatever. Which game impressed me the most? Impressed me the most. Seether vs. Demi was very good. Probably Seether vs. Demi off the top of my head. I would say was impressive games so far. Vivid vs. Lunith was a lot of fun, but I don't know if I'd say impressive. I don't think either player executed perfectly. I think both players weren't executing on point, but that sort of made for a fun game. But at the same time, there were elements, like there was a lot of multitasking. It was a lot of fun. It was impressive from a viewer perspective, but maybe not from a gameplay perspective. That's what I'll say. On that note, thanks for tuning in to Ryan's recap. We're going to be back again probably on Sunday when the lineups are released for next week's matches. We'll be talking about Tuesday. We'll be previewing Tuesday. And of course, we're going to be reviewing everything, recapping, you might even say, everything that happened tomorrow. And I hope you guys tune in, and I hope you guys enjoy the ANZ Pro League tomorrow. Peace.